Hey, everybody, this is Charlotte, California Haunts Radio. We got a great guest coming up. If you've ever had a dog, cat, any kind of pet that has passed away or has been sick, my guest today, sorry about that, Coryelle Kramer, will be on to talk about that and how you can communicate better with your pets and know what they're thinking. So check it out. I'll see you in about 5 minutes. Grab your popcorn and snacks. Find a comfy spot, take a seat or lie down, and let me transport you to a place of fantasy, ghost stories, ancient legends, odd creatures, alien encounters, and other magical topics. You may even decide to join the conversation. From faraway lands to your own backyard, with a small dash of pixie dust. Turn out the lights and open your minds. The journey is about to begin. Good afternoon, everybody. It's fun to be on at noon. Welcome to California Haunts Radio. That was my attempt at a pre-intro to the intro, and there's some days you just shouldn't get up in the morning and try stuff, but wrong buttons, wrong timing, everything. So after today, all that'll be fixed on the next few videos. I apologize. But those are going to be going on, and where I'm going to do a pre-intro to the intro. Anyway, welcome. It's great to be here. It's fun being on this early. I love it. And I love doing these videos. My name is Charlotte. I'll be your host for the next hour, and we have a great show for you. It's something that's dear to my heart. You know, I just lost my Kelpie in December, my 17-year-old. And she probably, out of all my dogs, what I didn't expect, because she was a rescue, and because of the relationship we had, she is the only one really that has come back to see me and visit me in different ways since she died. I mean, the most, okay? Because I had one that passed away in 2012 or 2013, and she came back off and on, but not like this dog. This dog has been back, and I've seen her. I've physically seen her in my house. So we had a really unique relationship without realizing it. And at one point, I even tried to communicate with her, and I know I made contact because there was a very perplexed look in her eyes, a very shocked look when I did make contact. But anyway, my guest today, Coryelle Kramer, does this, and she's going to tell you guys about how to do this, and excuse me, and how to have that communication and that relationship with your animals. I'm really excited to have her on. So, we're just going to get on with this show and get rolling. But, first, I'm going to do some quick intros. I'm the owner of the California Haunts Paranormal Investigation Team based out of Sacramento. We're 35 strong up and down the state. We've been around for almost 20 years doing ghost investigations. So if you need help with your paranormal stuff, come on down. Give me a call. Let me know. Text me. Get a hold of me through here, and we'll come out and help you. Okay? You can find us at www.californiahaunts.org, or the radio show is at californiahauntsradio.com. All right? If you're watching from YouTube today, please subscribe. We've got more than 260 videos over there. And they're really good videos, they're like our guest today, and we vary with our topics. So I think you're going to find, there's a little bit of something for everybody over there. If you want to subscribe to us, please do. Down in the bottom right-hand corner, there's a little ghost that has a Sherlock Holmes hat on and a magnifying glass, and that's our mascot. So please do subscribe. Anyway, without further ado, I'm going to bring Coryelle on because I want to pick her brain about stuff. I'm really excited. Like I said, I'm really excited for this. And I've gotten more and more excited, like I said, since the death of my 17-year-old Kelpie, because she has made contact with me more often than not, and it's really cool. I've even seen her physically, so I'm really excited. All right, here we go. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon. Thank you for having me on. And I'm so sorry to hear about the
I apologize for the show intro. It's my first shot doing it, and if anything could go wrong in that beginning, because I wanted to do a big, we have an animal intuitive on, yada. And then I went to push the buttons and nothing came on.
Yeah, I'm familiar with StreamYard. I do a show once a week with my host on StreamYard. It can be interesting. I get it.
Wrong buttons, wrong this, darkness. And then when I queued up the 5-minute intro, it was only like a minute and a half. And I'm like, oh, I'm trying to move it back and do all this other stuff. So I apologize. Anyway, welcome to the show. California Haunts Radio. We're usually more efficient than what we did today. But I'm really excited to have you on. Tell me about you and how you got into doing this.
Well, first off, I'm so sorry to hear about the passing of your 17-year-old Kelpie. I'm really sorry to hear that. I know it's never easy. It's never easy. But how did I start doing animal communication? So I've been doing it. I tell people I've been doing it professionally for over 2 decades, but unprofessionally, I've been doing it since I was a kid. I could always talk to animals. I could always hear them. My mother, God bless her, was an extremely supportive person.
Mhm.
She didn't tell me I was crazy. She encouraged it. She nurtured it. She supported it. So I've been doing it really since I was a kid. I could always hear them. I could always get a sense for how they felt in their bodies because I'm empathic.
Mhm.
And so I've been doing it for a while, and then I stopped doing it when I was probably in my early 20s because I just wanted to fit in and I didn't want to be the freak. So I stopped doing it for a while and then I reconnected a few years later when
Mhm.
I really just wanted to, I felt that it was something that was a part of me and it was something that I loved doing. And it's something that has brought immense joy in my life. So I got comfortable being the freak and I started doing it again.
I think that's the case with a lot of people because, like they say, we're all born with this ability.
Yes.
And I think at some point in life, we just want to like not have to deal with it. At some point in life, it kind of gets put in the background, and then
Mm,
it takes a trigger. With some people, it's just a small trigger that starts it up again.
yeah. Absolutely. It did become very, very painful because I am empathic.
Hmm.
I was sensing the animal's pain. I was sensing the planet's pain and the animals who were on it. It became very overwhelming because I didn't know. I didn't have anybody to talk to about this. We didn't
Right.
have stuff like paranormal radio and where you can listen in on and find out about stuff like shielding and protecting yourself in a bubble and keeping that stuff at bay so that you could still do the things that you love to do, but you don't
Mhm.
get overwhelmed by them. It was basically the only person I had who I could talk to was probably the person with the neon sign that said tarot card on the corner. And she
Right.
scared me. I wasn't going to be going to her.
Yeah.
So I didn't have anybody I could talk to about how do you stop becoming so overwhelmed? How do you
Mhm.
control this? You know?
Absolutely. No, I understand. And plus, I would think because I don't do the type of work you do, I can tell if there's a ghost here. I can tell, if it's a male or female. Sometimes I'll
Mhm.
see them. Sometimes I hear them in my head. But it must be, overwhelming also, especially at first. Not so much now because you've been
Oh,
doing it
yeah.
for a while. But when you see somebody's animal that's really sick, and then you have to somehow think, well, is it in my place to tell them that their animal's really sick, or should I just let it go? It's got to be an overwhelming feeling.
It's a huge responsibility, and I had to kiss a lot of frogs, meaning I had to try a lot of stuff, and it messed up.
Hmm.
And what is your responsibility? Is it your responsibility to tell this person, or is it your responsibility to understand that this animal has got a life's purpose and a life's plan and a soul plan, and maybe my telling them that their animal is sick is not part of that soul plan, life
Sure.
plan.
Sure.
So it's a balance. It's definitely a balance that you
Yeah.
have to walk this road, and what's your responsibility and what's not your responsibility.
Yeah. Because people really, people I mean, people, especially people with no children, they tend to make the animals, that's their children. That's their kids. They're the ones that are dressing them up and putting little hat. You know what I mean? And so, to find out that your animal is deathly ill is really, really devastating to people.
Yeah, yeah, it can be. It can be. I mean, I just had two very long time animal clients transition, both within a month of each other, both in the same household.
Right.
And it became it hurts. It's almost like they are my children. They
Hmm.
are they're my friends. They're animals and their people are my friends. And the animals have become my friends. And that was a hard one. It felt like I had actually lost my heart cat
Yeah.
again because these two were so close to me for
Mhm.
like they were part of my career and my life for the last like 12, 13 years. I mean, that's a lot. That's long.
Yes. Yeah.
So it can be, this business of being an animal communicator is Is it rewarding? Absolutely. Is it wonderful? Absolutely. Can it be heart-wrenching sometimes? Yes. Oh, yes. It can be, it can be.
Well, I can imagine. I mean, like with my 17-year-old, I knew she was 17. So when she finally got sick, I knew it was, you know, when she started to walk funny and stuff, I knew the end was coming.
Mm,
But when my 11-year-old went, that bugged me, with the pancreas, because I was just like, well, she's 11 years old. She's awfully young to go.
yeah.
But I mean, God, I know what the plan was with her because she was my mother's dog. My mother passed away in 2019. That dog took care of my mother to the end. She allowed me to sleep. She would sleep under my mother's bed. And if my mother moved, she'd wake me up in the middle of the night to let me know my mother was moving. So that was my
Mhm.
mom's dog. So I knew I was just a sloppy second for her, as far as being her person.
Yeah.
So when she passed, I knew what it was. She wanted to be with my mom. She's with my mom. Life's good. But still, it was heartbreaking because that was still part of my mother at the time.
Sure.
And then she got sick, and then that was the that last piece of my mother that I had.
Mhm.
And then losing the other one so quickly. But I understand people with animals and how they feel and how attached you can get. It's very, very heartbreaking when you've had one for so long.
Yeah.
And then it's really heartbreaking. Like I see people on Facebook all the time that have them for 2-3 years and something happens. And either way, it's heartbreaking.
Yeah.
So
It
I admire what you do because it
Mhm.
takes a lot and it must drain you.
It really sometimes, okay, but the most part of it is, it's enriching.
Hmm.
I always learn something new. I always stay open to whatever the animal wants to tell me. I try to stay as neutral as I possibly can so that I can get the messages that I'm getting, because if I go in with an expectation,
Hmm.
I'm going to I'm going to shut myself off to the messages that could be outside of that expectation. So I always try to remain as neutral as I possibly can when I go into a session with an animal, because that's where the yummy stuff is. That's where I learned about reincarnation. I learned about reincarnation from animals. I didn't know anything about reincarnation. I really didn't. It wasn't in my wheelhouse. I didn't know about star seeds. I didn't know about soul plan, life plans. I learned all this from animals because I stayed open to whatever they were going to tell me. And I've gotten some really off the chart stuff. But yes, it can be hurting. It can hurt your heart sometimes, but something, it's the goodness, the wonder, the awesomeness outweighs the pain more than I can ever say.
Absolutely. Now, you always see these things across Facebook where, somebody with a sense of humor will write stuff where your animal is watching you from its perspective. And it's like, oh, that doesn't see the humor in what humans are doing.
Oh, absolutely. Animals have great senses of humor. They really, really do. That's why some of them are such clowns. They love to make us laugh. They love to make us smile. They love to make us happy. But yeah, they laugh at, when I'm zhuzhing myself up for an interview. Not that I did too much zhuzhing, but my cat sits on the toilet. My orange ginger cat sits on the toilet, and he's looking at me like, "What you doing? Why are you gonna do what's all this? What are you doing?" And I'm telling him, I'm like, "Tao, I'm zhuzhing myself up. I got to look good." And he's like, "Why? You look good already." It's like the concept of like makeup and hair products, goes a little bit over their head. But yeah, they love we're entertainment. Absolutely, absolutely. They feel our happiness. They feel our joy. They feel our pain. They feel our sadness. They feel when we're depressed and we're down. That's why they come and they try to make us feel better.
I always wondered that because I know, guys, it's like your husband and your significant other see you at your worst, but really your animals are the ones that see you at your worst. I mean, they see you first thing in the morning, and the hair is all foobar, and it's going every which way. If you're having a bad day before your first coffee cup or whatever, your animals see all that. So I was just wondering if the animals find it funny, like, oh my God, look at her hair today. Yikes! What did she do? What is she thinking?
They love us no matter what, they love us at our worst, they love us at our best. They love us when we're wearing our unicorn, pajama pants and, the hair is up on one side in the morning and stuff like that. They love us no matter what. That's what animals are really good at. They're really good at unconditional love. They don't judge. They don't, criticize. They might, scruff us every once in a while when they think that we need, a little bit of, hey, you're falling a little bit off, your happy place.
Right.
Let's get you back on track. But they don't judge and they don't criticize and they don't point paws or fingers at us and say, they laugh at us, but they're more laughing with us than they are at us.
When you talk about animals knowing about the afterlife, because there's a lot of people wondering what happens after your animal passes.
Mhm.
Does your animal just go on to, like they say, the Rainbow Bridge? It's all rainbow. It's all the other animals are up there, or they're waiting for you, or do they just go into nothingness? Because there's really nothing when you read the Bible and other script, stuff like that. There's nothing about animals.
I know. It's a little one-sided. I when my mom passed in 2008, I was living in Germany and I had just gone back there and I had a visitation. That's what I call a dream that's very vivid. Tactile. You can smell, taste, touch, colors. You can hear things. It plays out usually like a movie does, as opposed to a dream that's, all of a sudden you're sitting in a room and then there's a unicorn in the corner or something else like that there. That's usually a dream where things, they make sense, but they don't really make flow as
Right.
nicely as a visitation. So I was gifted with the knowledge of what happens when we transition. I went back to non-physical. I was there. I knew my mom's soul was there. I felt it like a GPS. I knew exactly where she was in heaven. Non-physical is what I call it. My father too, also other friends who had passed and transitioned. So I was gifted with this. And I saw that everybody goes to the same place, animals included. And, I've had a lot of people, not a lot, but I've had surprisingly enough people who I thought were very evolved in the metaphysical world who told me, animals don't have souls. And I was like, what? And I couldn't believe I was hearing this. I was like, of course animals have souls. Animals don't go to the same, animals don't go to the same heaven we do. Well, I don't want to go to heaven if there are no animals there. Okay.
Absolutely.
It's really going to be boring. So, when I went back to non-physical, there were animals there were people there. It was all, it was lovely. It was absolutely lovely. It gave me this feeling of no longer fearing transitioning or death. I don't use the word death because I don't believe that there is death. I believe that there's a transition. You transition from one body into an energetic body and then back again in reincarnation. But it's like I don't understand how people cannot see animals as lovely, beautiful, wonderful, thinking, reasoning, intelligent souls, because they do have souls. Of course they do.
Absolutely. I can tell you my Kelpies. I ran into a guy in San Francisco one time and we were talking about, because he was walking his dogs. And I said, yeah, you have great dogs. He had like labs, And he says, well, what do you have? And I said, well, I have Australian Kelpies. And the guy looked at me and smiled and said, I don't want to get a dog that's smarter than I am. And that's the deal with Kelpies. They're just, you can look into their face and you can just see the intelligence. What's there. And that's why I love having Kelpies. But yeah, I think people forget that. Not everybody, but there's certain people that do forget that these dogs, that these animals, cats too. Cats are, my God. I just started having cats the last 3 years. And I've realized how intelligent they are.
Yeah.
I thought they'd be easy to raise, from like kittens. I got them when they were like itty bitties, where I had to put like, the formula. I thought, oh, it'll be like puppies. It won't be an issue. Oh my God. Boy, did I learn different. Woo! So it's like it's a totally different ballgame. But they're
Mhm,
so intelligent. They're
mhm.
so smart. And I think there's people, like you say, there's people in this world that don't get that. They just don't get the intelligence. And
No,
it's sad, you know?
no.
But yeah, I understand animals. I think I call myself the animal whisperer sometimes because I understand them too well sometimes.
I
You know?
like that. That's good.
But
That's
for the people that don't, that are just dog owners, cat owners, whatever, boa constrictor, God forbid, owners, people like that. Do animals understand us as well as we think they do?
absolutely. It really depends on a couple of things. I mean, everybody has the ability to do what I do. Okay.
Mhm.
It's just I use it on a moment, almost a moment to moment basis. So it's what I call my intuitive muscle. I work my intuitive muscle daily, moment to moment. So, the more you work it, the stronger it becomes. The less you work it, the less strong it is, and the more doubt you have, and the more it's might be harder to connect and things like that there. But animals definitely understand us. Animals are telepathic. What that means is that that's Latin for like feelings across a distance. So it's basically this is why I have clients all over the world.
Mhm.
It's like I can talk to an animal in, Australia. One of my clients is in Australia right now. So I can talk to my client cat in Australia because it's feelings across a distance. The animal communication doesn't matter how far or close the animal is. It doesn't matter. So, yes, your animal understands you because people are telepathic as well, which is why when I connect to somebody and I mentor them in animal communication, the first thing I do is I show them meditation. I get them to meditate because when you meditate, you start slowing your mind down and you start becoming aware of how much you are telepathic. Because with every word you speak, you're sending out an intention, you're sending out an image, you're sending out a thought. But we're so much with the monkey mind, not that
Mhm.
monkeys are bad, but we're with the squirrel mind, and squirrels
Right.
aren't bad either.
Right.
But if we don't slow our mind down, we're not becoming aware of how we are sending this out to the world with every word we speak. So when you slow your mind down, you start becoming more aware of how powerful you are and you can really connect to your telepathy.
And that's my next question when you talk about the squirrel mind. With everything, even some people with meditating, until you can get things slowed down, how do you tell when it's your animal communicating with you as opposed to something else?
It's kind of like knowing. um you just get a sense for it. It's kind of hard to explain. I know that I'm connecting to that person's animal because I'm connecting to their energy, and through their energy, their love for their animal. So then I use that as a way in to connect to the animal themselves. So I can kind of tell when I'm talking to that person's animal or another animal that might be in the household. I just get a sense for who I'm talking to.
Okay.
It's Yeah, it's just like a knowing.
It's like I said earlier, I had that one dog that was a rescue. She'd been tormented by her previous owners,
Mhm.
and I was trying to practice to make contact with her, and I knew when I did because I could see the look in her eyes. It was a shocked look because she didn't expect me to get in her head. I didn't do it again because I started going to work. You get busy and all that.
Mhm.
But I knew the second I made contact because just the look in her eyes were like saucers. So I knew I had contacted her, and I think that's what connected us in the end. That's why, like I said, that's the one that has come to me more than any of my other animals after she passed, because that
Yeah.
one, I think it was that one day that we made that connection,
Yeah.
because we kept that connection.
Yeah.
But I could tell when I made contact, and I wish I would have pursued doing it. I'm going to try and do it with this other dog that I have. But can anybody do this? Can anybody communicate with their animal?
Absolutely. Absolutely, you can. It's the intention that you set when you do it. And just stay open to it. Try not to get into any expectation. It's
Hmm.
it's like when you're flowing. Like when you're in a creative flow, you know it. And when you're coming from too much of a consciousness in the brain, you know that it's more thinking than it is knowing. And also I know when I'm in the flow because and I'm really connected to an animal because it flows through me. It's not like thinking about it. So it's the difference between telling a story and just listening to a story. So if you're telling a story on the fly, you're going to be, stuttering. So once upon a time, there was a dog named Bo, and Bo was this brown, big brown, happy go lucky kind of dog. And, so what happens is that you can tell that's not a flow
Mm-hmm.
because I'm thinking too much. So I know when I'm coming from the left brain and when
Mm-hmm.
I'm coming from the right brain. And I know the difference, the subtleties, because I'll say sometimes in a session, I'll say, hang on a second, I'm coming from a consciousness mind and not a knowing mind. Let me just reconnect and just get back into the flow because the information I'm getting should just come out like this, like slip and slide. It's just going, it's flowing. And if it's not flowing, it's not going, is what I say. So that means that I'm coming from too much of a consciousness, brain, mind.
That's absolutely fascinating. Now, when an animal is near death, do animals understand the death process?
Yes, they do.
Wow.
They do. I've done a show on this, where I talked about euthanasia and transitioning. So the animals are conscious of the fact that they're going. Some might be a little bit more conscious than others. It depends on what's going on. They also understand when they are near death, when they're getting ready to go. It's kind of like when I connect to an animal and somebody asks me, is my animal transitioning? Are they close to death? I see it kind of like a Warner Brothers cartoon in my head. It's the way that it is. So it's kind of like getting ready for a trip. There are
Mm-hmm.
different stages when you get ready to go on a trip. So there's the stage where you're not even aware that you need to go on vacation. So that tells me that that animal is not anywhere close to transitioning. Then
Mm-hmm.
there's, you're looking at brochures at the places to go. Then you decide on where you're going. And then you start packing and unpacking and packing and unpacking. It's like this. The last stage is I see them in my head, hat on, coat on, suitcase, and hand on the door. So I know that they're about to go. That's the last stage. So, yes, they do understand, but it depends. Some of them are very much aware of when they're going to be going. They have it. They're very tapped into their soul plan, life plan. So some might say, I know I'm gonna transition. A 2-year-old dog might say, I know I'm gonna transition when I'm 16.
Mm-hmm.
Some of them are more tapped in than others, and others have no idea. It depends on what's going on with their soul plan, life plan at that time.
Interesting. Question in the chat room is: do
Mhm.
animals meet us when we cross over?
I think so. I think it depends on. I've had people when I was doing readings for with spirits. For people, I've had a lot of people who told me, their spirits told me, my dog met me at the door, my cat met me at the door. They also meet each other if they
Mm-hmm.
knew each other, meaning if the dog and a cat were really good friends, the dog passed and then the cat passed later on, they might meet each other at the door as well. Yes, they do. Sometimes not. It depends on the situation. It's not cookie cutter. It's like you just got to stay open to whatever's happening, and you stay open to the stories that come in. But a lot of the times, yes, our animals do meet us at the door.
I know my father had an experience with that when he had triple pneumonia in the hospital, and he had uh, you know, flatlined because he
Yeah.
said that this dog that he had known in the Coast Guard, which she had brought home with him, came to his hospital room. And
Yeah.
as he got up to go after the dog turned around and said, "No, it's not your time yet," and then went on. But he said he clearly saw this dog. So yeah, I think like you say, it does happen in certain situations.
Yeah. It's really cool. They especially when we're not so in the conscious mind.
Hmm.
Like your father was drifting. He was
Right.
in between the veils. So he was able to see these things that we normally would not see, or we're too busy, running around like a chicken with our head cut off, when we should really and truly just be quiet and be present. But because your father was open to that, he saw that beautiful and had that beautiful message and experience.
Absolutely. Can can dogs come back, or just not only dogs, but I'm talking cats and all kinds of pets? Can they come back and forth across the veil like humans can to visit us?
Oh, yeah, absolutely. They do it a lot. They do it a lot more than we're aware of, because again, if you're busy running around, your spirit animal could be there, but you're not seeing them because you're not tuned into them. It's just a matter of tuning in, and quieting yourself down a little bit, and
Hmm.
also getting out of the way. What I mean by that is that we want to see our animals so badly. We miss them. We miss the physical. We miss them, and we're grieving. And in our grief, what can happen is that we're not tuned. We're all over the place. We're scattered.
Hmm.
So if you can, that's why a lot of the animals come to us in our dreams,
Hmm.
because that's when the conscious mind quiets down and the unconscious becomes and tunes in. So that's why a lot of them use that doorway to come into our lives and just show us, hey, we're okay, everything's fine, we miss you, but we love you, but everything's fine you know so yeah, it's just a matter of trying to quiet your mind down and also not clog up the pipe. And I
Hmm.
understand that's a tricky thing, but if you can not clog up the pipe with so much grief and so much wanting to see them and releasing it a little bit, then they can come in much more easier.
Okay, cool. Another question is, if an animal passes with vet assistance and is put to sleep, do they know they have passed, or do they not know, and then they end up coming home with you?
um the If an animal is passed with vet assistance, they it depends on the animal, it depends on the situation, but a lot of the animals just, they're tied to us,
Hmm.
they're connected to us, so they use that connection as a way to just keep on going with us. They just come home with us. They don't. I don't. I haven't come across, um, in my experience, I have not come across an animal that got stuck at the vet office.
Hmm.
They use our love as their leash or their lead to connect and to stay with us as
Okay.
often as they possibly can.
So that leads to my next question then. Once the cat, once your animal, passes away, what happens after that? I mean, do they hang out, or does someone come get them, or something, or another animal comes to get them to help them cross over? How does it work?
It again, not cookie cutter. So there are some animals that go back up to non-physical because
Hmm.
they feel like they have some job or something that they have to do up there. They have to, check in, so to speak, in non-physical, and then they come back. Some animals are go up to non-physical and they reincarnate back into another body right away because they
Hmm.
want to, sometimes they reincarnate back to us, sometimes they reincarnate into a person, into another animal, another breed. A cat, transitions and reincarnates into a horse or a dog or a gerbil. It doesn't matter. Okay. um and then sometimes they want to hang out with us. They feel like they're able now to, it's exciting for them because now there is no limitations.
Hmm.
We couldn't take our animals to to the job, you
Mhm.
know? Now they can be with us almost 24/7, you know? And also, here's the thing is that if you have an animal that you love, that you want to see them more, talk to them. You can still talk to them. It's energy. It's all it is energy. Energy talking, one energy being talking to another energy being. Doesn't matter if they're in the physical or they're not in the physical. So you let them know, hey, I'd really like to see you. Maybe you could come by tonight when I'm sleeping, or, when I'm laying in bed, I'm about to go to sleep. I'd love to feel you. I'd love to see you. I'd love to hear you. You can talk to them. Just because 'cause they're not there in the physical doesn't mean that you can't talk to them.
Another question I had too about the reincarnation thing. Can a pet decide whether they want to come back to their own family?
Yes, I've had a lot in the last 20 years. It used to be I would get a reincarnation back to their person maybe once a year.
Mhm.
Once a year I would get it. Since we've been going through what I call the shift of consciousness, this is what
Mhm.
humanity's been going through. A lot of us has been feeling this, okay? It's been going on, and the animals told me about this about 25 years ago. They told me that there's going to be a shift of consciousness coming, and I have to really and truly step up. Not that it's all on me, it's not, but I had to really and truly step up and do this work with the animals because they were going to be coming back, and they were going to be coming back to their person because they want to be part of this shift of consciousness that we're going through and helping us as much as they possibly can. So what's been happening, it's really coming to a head in the last 10 years. It's been getting harder and harder and harder for humanity because we got to shift. This is, it's a momentum. We're building this momentum. And that's why it's so important for us to stay as vibrationally sound as we possibly can, because that's how we're going to ride this tsunami. If you're not vibrationally fit and
Mhm.
you're trying stuff that just used to work but doesn't work anymore, you're going to be at the bottom of the wave getting sand in your bathing suit. You want to be riding that wave. So that's why it's really important. And that's why we're having such a shift with, I don't talk about politics. It doesn't matter about politics. I
Mhm.
think politics separates us, just like I think religion separates us. So I don't
Mhm.
talk about it. But it's been really coming to the head the last 10 years. And, people have been playing their part, helping us really and truly shift and grow. And the animals are reincarnating because they want to be back with us. So now I'm getting, I don't even know how many a year. Okay. I lose track of a lot of animals who have come back and reincarnated back to their person because that's what they want. They want another trip around the sun.
And they don't necessarily reincarnate as the same breed, right? I mean, you might be at the animal shelter and connect. You might have had a lab, and you're walking through the animal shelter, and there's a little Chihuahua that calls out to you in your head, right? I mean, they could be a different breed completely.
It could be. They could be a different animal completely.
Okay.
It could be a dog and they're reincarnating because they want to be a cat, or they want to be a horse, or they want to be a pig, or a boa constrictor or something else like that there. But usually what I found is they try to make it as stupid easy for us as possible. So sometimes, many times, they do reincarnate as the same kind of animal. So if you had a Chihuahua and they wanted to reincarnate, they will reincarnate back to that Chihuahua because we're looking for and we're missing the Chihuahua.
Hmm.
So they will make it stupid simple. But the thing with the reincarnation is this: I cannot prove it to you.
Right.
I just know that you will know when it's your animal. It's not a conscious thing of saying, I think this is Barney again. It's just this knowing in your heart that you're like, this is Barney. I know this is Barney. I know because he's doing the same thing Barney used to do. He's
Hmm.
doing that one thing that Barney used to do all the time. Or it's just this heck yes when you see this animal. It's not conscious. It's totally and completely heart and love.
Well, that was my other question too about this, is that the animal, when it does reincarnate, isn't going to quite act like it did in life. I mean, there's going to be traits that it has, right? Or is it going to act like it did?
It's the difference between a 1.0 operating system and a 2.0
Okay.
operating system. So is it still the same animal? Yes. But as you are evolving, you're not the same person. I'm not the same person I was before I started this interview 40 minutes ago. I've changed.
Mm-hmm.
So as you're changing, the animal is changing and growing and becoming different and evolving and expanding
Mm-hmm.
in non-physical. That soul is becoming more. So will they be the exact same animal? No. But that's because you're not the exact same person. You don't need that animal to be the old animal. You need that animal to be that expanded soul so that they can help you in your own way expand as well, if that makes sense.
It does make sense. Question from the chat room: can two animals that have passed reincarnate into another single? I think she's saying another single animal.
Um then we see that animal. Do they have anything to do with us wanting that animal? I you there is what I one soul is one body. Okay. Now there is situations that I've had experiences where that soul can share that body with another soul. So
Mm.
it's kind of like energetically, I feel that soul stepping back into the back seat, and then another one comes in to drive the bus. That's why that usually you can tell that's happening when the animal doesn't act like the animal, but all of a sudden acts like the animal. So
Mm-hmm.
what I mean by that is the animal is, a regular animal, doesn't really have any characteristics that the other animal had, but then all of a sudden they'll do something
Mm-hmm.
that that animal used to do. Okay, the way that animal used to do it. And then all of a sudden, they'll go back to being their usual self. So that usually tells me that's what I call a step in. So they'll step in, drive the bus a little bit, and let you know, hey, I'm in the physical. You can touch me for a second, and then they'll step back when they and let the other soul come back in to drive the bus, so to
Makes
speak.
sense. Makes sense. Now,
Pretty
question
cool.
I have too is, I know people that once their animals die, they want to have communication with them right away. Does that vary? Does the person have to? He said, it's like when when a human dies,
Mhm.
sometimes the person's not ready to see that particular soul after it's passed, because there's unfinished, there's stuff that they have to go through. Is it the same with animals, or do animals come back right away?
It varies. There are some animals that step right back in. They're right there. Again, it depends on how tuned in you are, because if you're messing with your tuner through grief and through, guilt, some people have a lot of guilt about their animal's death.
Hmm.
I shoulda, woulda, couldas. If you have a lot of regrets, I should have done this. I could have done that. Why didn't I do this?
Hmm.
There's the animal sometimes does step in right away, but we're not seeing them. We're not hearing them because we're too much in, we've got blinders on. So yes, there are some animals that do, and there are some animals that don't. And it really depends on the person and how tuned in they are.
Okay. Okay. Now, when you say tuned in, because a lot of people don't get it, what does tuned
Mhm.
in mean?
When you're tapped in, when you're not um doing 15 things at once, when you're quiet and you're being, and you're just, your breath, and you're calm and you're relaxed, when you're open to divine and messages from spirit. That's what I mean by tuned in. So I mean, we're human. We can't be tuned in all the time. I can't be tuned in all the time. I mean, I have to I have to sleep. So, but if you try to actively tune in, that's why it's like really important. And some people don't like the M word. They don't like the word meditation. It
Mhm.
scares them. They think they have to sit in the floor in the lotus position for hours on end. Just sit in a nice, comfortable chair and just notice your breathing for a few minutes.
Right.
Is your breathing staggered? That lets you know that your nervous system might be a little unregulated. So, notice your breathing and calm that down. Listen to some nice music, maybe that taps you in and helps you feel good. If you try to actively do it once a day at least, or a good time to do it is right before you're falling asleep. Just open up to spirit and see what you get. I usually feel it in my crown chakra when I'm really tapped in. I'll feel
Mhm.
my third eye opening up. I feel tingly in my crown chakra. I feel my heart opening up. So, actively doing the stuff that opens up your connection to spirit, opening up the heart chakra, opening up the crown chakra, opening up the third eye, rooting yourself and grounding yourself so that you're not so much in your head. That's how you tap in. That's what I mean by being tapped in.
Now, can animals leave us signs too that they're there?
Oh, yeah. I've had animals, I've asked animals to leave a sign for their person. So, I've had animals tell me, when my person sees a certain bird,
Mhm.
a red cardinal, a blue jay, a bluebird, I've had them leave, pennies on the floor. I've said, I've had them all of a sudden just, uh, let the person know and feel them laying on their chest as a sign. They'll hear them all of a sudden clip, 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 the nails clipping and clucking on the floor. It can be all different kinds of things. And if you have an animal that you want to get a sign from, ask them again. Ask them, give me a sign that you're around. Let me know, something. Leave a penny on the floor, lucky penny. Leave. Let me see a certain kind of bird or butterfly. Let me see a butterfly, and let me know that you're around.
Okay. Okay, that's really cool. That is really cool. Because like I said, I've experienced that stuff over the past few months, and it's pretty cool when it happens.
Hmm.
It's pretty cool.
It is
Do you
fun. It
think
is
sometimes,
beautiful.
real quick, do you think sometimes if somebody wants it to so much that sometimes, like I said earlier, you know, that want the animal or the deceased being won't come because it's just too much of a want. It would be too hard on the person.
Sometimes, sometimes you need to be able to work through your grief so
Hmm.
you're not in it.
Hmm.
You're not submerged in it. Sometimes the animal, again, it's sometimes the animal's right there.
Hmm.
I'll do a session, a bereavement package with a client. I said they're right there, right beside you, or they're sitting right now on your desk. I feel them. I can feel them and I can see them
Hmm.
because I'm not attached to the answer. I'm not invested in
Hmm.
it. Do I love your animal? Of course I love your animal. I want you to feel good, but I understand also that, I'm open. I'm as open as I possibly can to it. So I try to let people know, and I understand you got to work through your grief. And people are like, they'll tell me, I want to see my animal. I can't see it. It hurts me when I can't see my animal. I was like, I understand, but you gotta get on the other side of the grief. I'm not saying not leave the grief behind
Right.
totally completely. You just got to be a little bit more open. Think of it like a pipe. The more freer that pipe is, the more open that pipe is, the less clogged it is with stuff like worry, concern, guilt, sadness, anger, frustration, overwhelm. That pipe is nice and clear. You got to be able to get that water, that flow to you much more easier. But if your pipe is clogged, and that's okay. Our pipes get clogged, man. It happens.
Hmm.
But if you can unclog that pipe as much as possible, the more looser and more open it is, the more you'll see them. but you just got to get that pipe cleared out.
Now, my next question is that, we've been talking about deceased pets. When people come to you, to do a reading, it's
Mhm.
not only about pets that are sick, right? It's about other things with their pets because the pet could have maybe been abused, when it was younger, and people are having behavioral issues with it. Is that
Yeah.
true?
I do a lot of work with behavioral issues. I also developed what I call the animal dynamics. The animal dynamics are 7 personality archetypes that I've developed, that I've found over the years
Hmm.
with animals. And each personality likes to be interacted with differently, played with differently, talked to differently, different tones of voices are used. It's really fascinating. And I've used the dynamics to help better a person's relationship even better with their animals. Because if you're talking to your animal and you're touching your animal and it's really feeding that personality and
Hmm.
who they are, it answers questions to why they're doing what they're doing, why they're doing the behaviors that they're doing, which is why I work now with people over and their animals over periods of time. I don't do one and done sessions anymore because there's so much information I'm gathering about that behavior that I can't just shove that animal. I work in the animal's time now. I worked with them over time in their time so that I don't force them to stop doing a behavior, because a lot of the time some of the behaviors they're doing
Hmm.
is trying to let you know something. Maybe they're pooping in the house, and if they're pooping in the house, they might be telling you the energy in the house is poopy. It's not rocket science. So
Right.
there's a lot of behavioral issues that I'm taking care of now that, I'm also helping the person because they're trying to also help you. The animals might be trying to help you through your stuff as well. So the behavioral issues, a lot of them is very healing with animal communication, with the animal dynamics, but also I do a 5-level healing intensive. And that's healing the emotion, the physical body, the emotions, the soul, and karmic gunk. It's healing the auric field, which is the aura, and it's healing the chakras. So it's 5-level healing.
Hmm.
And a lot of times, as soon as I do that healing, the animal starts feeling better and they start releasing the unwanted behaviors.
Cool,
It's
cool, cool.
fascinating.
And what about animals that can sense sickness in humans?
That there's a lot of animals that do that. And there's actually one of the dynamics is what I call the oracle or the seer
Hmm.
personality. And this dynamic specifically is very, very good at seeing things within the body and what's going on, and sensing things like cancer, or sensing things like depression, or sensing things like joint problems, and sitting on their person wherever that problem may be. So that's one dynamic, but also animals can get a sense. They smell their sense of smell is huge. I mean, it's highly, highly evolved. So sometimes they can smell stuff that's going on with us. Even our emotions, when our emotions are off, they
Hmm.
can sense it and smell it as well. So it's like my orange ginger boy. He always knows when I'm too much in my head, and he will come from wherever and just come and sit. And I have to kiss his head.
Hmm.
He will give me his head, and he wants me to kiss it because he knows that that calms my nervous system down.
Yeah, I have experience with that in that being diagnosed with congestive heart failure, and I remember the Kelpie that had issues. With all the issues she had in her life, she didn't like to be touched in certain spots, and I knew it because
Mm,
so so I worked with her on it. But it was interesting because with the heart failure, she was the mama dog. I would be on
mhm,
the couch laying or whatever, and this dog would lay on my chest like a mama dog. And if
uh-huh.
I breathe funny, she'd get higher up on my chest. And this lasted for a couple months until I had my procedure done, to get my heart calmed down. But
Yeah,
she actually did that, and I was shocked because I never had a dog do that before when I was sick.
that's
And so
cool.
they do sense. It's really neat because they do sense. What do you say to people that want to start doing this communication thing with their animals?
I say that first and foremost, quiet your mind.
Yeah.
Okay. Really and truly. and do it on a regular basis. I'm not saying for hours on end, 2 minutes.
Mhm.
Okay, 2 minutes, any kind of meditation or any time of quiet time is good quiet time. Okay, so, actively though, doing it on a daily basis will help you become more aware of what's going on in here. And also, once you become quiet, a lot of your animals, if you just sit quietly, they'll know and they'll come and they'll sit with you and they'll meditate with you. And then is a perfect time to maybe just send a question, or you could say it or you could send it in your mind. And I always tell people, don't start with, what's the meaning of life, because you're not going to hear it. That's too high end. Okay, what's your favorite color? What are you thinking right now? How you feeling in your body? Sometimes, especially if there's health issues, that can be a hard one to ask because you're afraid. You're invested in the answer. So it's really important. You're afraid that they're going to say something like, I'm feeling really sick. You got to take me to the vet right now. So that's going to close you off.
Right.
So again, staying open to the answer. So asking really simple, easy questions. And then I tell people, whatever you get first, that's your answer. The second thing that you get is usually your conscious mind trying to make sense of the fact that you're talking to an animal.
Right.
So you'll say to them, what's your favorite color? Pink. Okay, pink. Great. No, red. No, blue. Red, yeah, pink, yellow. It's like the first question, the first answer you get is usually your intuition. The second one is usually your mind trying to make sense of the fact that you're talking to a fur baby.
Now, you said even you do it, that you talk to your animal all the time. Do they understand what we're saying? Because I know you see TV programs where people are talking to their dogs and then the dog's listening like the teacher from Charlie Brown, you know what I mean?
Uh-huh.
And that's what they hear. So are they actually hearing us verbally?
Yes,
Okay.
they are. They're hearing us verbally, they're getting a sense. They're very much open to
Mhm.
everything. So they're getting a sense for that whatever we're saying feels to us.
Mhm.
So let's say I'm saying something like, I'm really not feeling that good today. I
Mhm.
feel scared. They'll get that sense for scared, and they'll get that sense for the words. They'll understand the words. And then again, they're telepathic. So when you say the word scared, you're sending a picture of what scared is,
Mhm.
whether that's you, like all tensed up, or whether that's just that whatever fear or the word scared means to you,
Mhm.
you're sending that image to them. So they're getting a sense for the emotions, the words, the telepathy, and they're getting a sense for the vibration, because everything is vibrational. And
Mhm.
animals are very cued into vibration. They're vibrational masters. So they'll get a sense for how you're feeling vibrationally, which is why I don't have to say a word, and my boy Ta'u, which is African for lion, will come. He'll know. He knows right now. He's sleeping right beside me in his big Bessie and Barney bed. But he knows if I get upset, he will be right here. And I don't have to say a word. He'll know.
That's terrific. Can you tell me about one of your most memorable cases?
The first one that comes to mind, I would probably say, was one of my first animal dynamic clients. And a person contacted me about her cat, and her cat was literally attacking her. I mean, stalking her, would wait around the corner until she came around the corner and get her on the leg. So she was drawing blood. She was and as we know, cat bites are more dangerous than dog bites because
Mhm.
they got a lot of bacteria. So she was getting bit badly. So and it could have been really, really bad because her arms started blowing up and things like that there. So I found out that her cat was a dynamic
Mhm.
called the energetic. And the energetic, basically, the bottom line with the energetic is, this is an animal and also a person, but an animal who is sensitive to the energies of people, places, things, and situations.
Oh, okay.
So what was happening was this woman was going through a lot of personal stuff with her daughter. So that was bringing up a lot of energy stuff. Her daughter's energy was all over the place. And her cat was feeling this, but she was also hanging out with people who were energetically toxic to her. And she wasn't grounding herself when she wasn't cleansing herself when she came back in the house. And her cat was trying to let her know this is unacceptable. This energy is killing me. Because for the energetic, it's almost like, when they're in a bad situation, it's almost like getting shocked. Like when you rub your feet on a rug and then you touch something metal.
Right.
Imagine that every single time she comes in contact with her person. So once I understood that she was an energetic, I gave her techniques that she could do to ground herself, clear the energy in the house, and her cat stopped attacking her.
Wow. Wow. Coryelle, thank you so much. This hour went by. I love your energy. You
Thank
have
you.
great energy.
Thank
And I
you.
learned so much, and I know the audience did. We'll get more audience tonight because, of course, my audience is usually a 6:30 p.m. one, but we did really good audience-wise today too, and I really appreciate you coming on.
Thank you.
And I would love to have you on again at some point to talk animals
Aw.
because I could have gone on for another hour with you.
I would love that. I would love that. And I want to thank everybody for, commenting and watching. It really means a lot to me that they would do that. So thank
You
you.
are fantastic. And like I said, I would love to have you on again. I'll see if I can get a hold of your PR and see if we can get that going again because I think you're going to be a popular guest. I have a feeling people are going to say, "Where's the animal intuitive?"
Oh, I would love that. I would really, really love that. It's been an honor. It's been so much fun being on your show. Thank you again for asking me.
What's next for you?
What's next? Oh, what's next? I don't know. Writing a book about the animal dynamics. I'm hoping to get that by the end of this year.
Mhm.
And then there's going to be other interviews coming up. But, I'm just, I'm excited for what's been happening because the dynamics are a game changer. They're a game changer for people. They're a game changer for animal communicators. They're just a game changer for the world in general. So sky's the limit.
Absolutely. And how can people find you?
It's really simple. I made it stupid simple. So basically, you can find me by my name. You
Mhm.
can, my website is CoryelleKramer.com. So it's Coryelle Kramer with a K.com. And if anybody wants to learn more about the animal dynamics and the other work that I do with animals, please go to my website, fill out the contact form, let me know what's going on. All the questions are important, so please answer all the questions.
Mhm.
And then we can do a possibility call where we see if, I'm a good match for them and if they're a good match for me. And that's the way you get a hold of me, or find me on Facebook, Coryelle Kramer too.
Fair enough. Thank you so much again. I really appreciate it. It was wonderful.
Thank
I learned a lot, and I know they did, like I said. And again, I'd love to have you on. And thank you. That's all I can say is thank you.
Thank you. Thank you. It's been a pleasure.
You have a good rest of the day.
You too. Bye-bye.
Bye bye. All right, that was terrific. That I learned so much about this because I've been experiencing it, like for the last couple months since Reba passed. Tomorrow we're back on the usual time with Jim Goodall. We're going to be talking spy. We're going to be talking U.S. spy planes and Area 51. So that'll be our usual 6:30 p.m. Pacific time. I'm going to clean up the intros. Today I figured out what I have to do, so we're going to fix that situation. But I want to thank everybody for coming, and for those of you that were watching on YouTube, please subscribe. We got more than 260 videos with varying topics, and they're all great topics. They're all stuff, and it's not all paranormal either. If you look, we talk about spousal abuse and crime things and all that. So please subscribe, and just by clicking that little ghost down at the bottom corner down there with the Sherlock Holmes hat on and the magnifying glass. I hope to get Coryelle back on because that was fantastic. She had good energy. I got along great with her. I hope she got along great with me. So, but anyway, thank you guys for coming today. If you see that ticker running at the bottom, California Haunts does not take any kind of funding for going out and investigating your home if you have a ghost issue. So everything comes out of my pocket because I am the owner. So everything you see here, whether it's a camera, the mic, the lights, everything, computers, it all comes out of my pocket. The internet service, all that good stuff. So I could use a little help. I want to keep these shows coming on the air. It's what I do. I'm a journalist, photojournalist. I love doing this. I love having guests on, and this is what I do. I'm retired. This is my gig. So if you could help me out a little bit with my bills, that'd be great. You can donate at paypal.me/CaliforniaHaunts. Or if you're uncomfortable with PayPal, Venmo. Just go to Venmo and type in California Haunts. You can do it from there. But I'd really appreciate it because when something dies, my headphones, for instance, Jennifer Martin in our group came up with the money to help me get replace my headphones when the headphones went down. Because like I said, it all comes out of my pocket. So that would be great. Anyway, I want to thank you all for coming, and I hope to see you tomorrow at 6:30 p.m. Pacific. Thank you so much, and I will see you tomorrow, hopefully. Have a good night.